listening. I forgot to start the I forgot to start the streaming. So how's that for the look? Let me just check. Sorry about that. Okay. It says excellent connection. We'll see when it starts. It's got a bit of a time delay. Right. For those on YouTube, we just wish to thank you for coming on frequency today. We wish to welcome everybody on. And again, we wish to thank the AMSAT UK group, the AMSAT DL, the BATC, and of course the Qatar Satellite Company for making this all possible for us. We have many viewers on Echolink, on YouTube, and of course watching direct on their own stations at home. So today's list, let's just have a look. Oopsie. There we go. We have Benno to follow, Papa Alpha 6, Victor Papa Kilo. It's a special event station. Followed by Matt, Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey. And then Leon, Series 1 Mike. Down to Martin, G8 KOE. And then to Mike, G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey. And to Dave, Mike 5 Tango X-Ray Juliet. And then Peter, GW7BZY. And then down to Brazil, to Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio Mexico. So, without further ado, would you like to come in, Benno? Strange call sign you have today. Tell us more about it. From ZA6 Yankee, India.
Well, actually, I planned some music, but apparently my music is not working anymore. This is completely off the grid working, and I have a little bit of problems. First problem is my video. Yes. Nope, it's not working. Moment. Let me fix that. Okay, and that's so really off the grid, but there I am. So hi guys, finally there. Sorry for the delay on starting it up. We are currently working with a 1 meter dish. But as it is, we have beautiful camp weather, as it is about 26 degrees outside, which is marvelous. But my amplifier is also outside in the sun the whole day, heating up already to 30-35 degrees before switching it on. So I'm a little bit low power, but I think with the low FAC you'll manage. PA6 VPK stands for Veron Pinksterkamp, which is the Dutch hand group Veron, and the days for the Pinkster weekend. And we have a campground, so together we have gathered about 150 guys and girls here on the weekend, starting from Thursday, with a lot of noise on the background. As you see, there are many groups on the background. They have no idea what I'm doing at the moment, but it doesn't matter. To give you a small impression what we do here is I will show you some slides I made. First of all, this is my dish, current dish which I'm using. the current setup, 1 meter offset dish upside down, which gives me a little bit better stability reason. And next we have, there's the dish actually placed. Hang on, I need to do that better. That's where my dish is. So I can show you also this picture, and this picture actually is my homebrew transceiver, and actually I did the first QSOs on that. On the QO-100 narrowband, it's doing DATV, but also the narrowband, all modes, but also on the VHF and the UHF. I worked local stations on this transceiver. So actually that thing worked this weekend. So to give you another impression about our campground, you see a lot of caravans and mobile homes, but also, and the nice thing is you see a lot of antennas all over the place. So this is about the view from my camper just outside here. So I'll give you a little bit more impression. This is where the other side campsite, and actually we are using a lot of family together to get all kind of games. Actually this was an hour ago somewhere in the forest. They had all kind of assignments to do in the forest, but obviously being together, seeing each other again after 1 year, that's all where it's all about. Talking young and old together, and doing some soldering for young and the old, and that's all what this weekend is all about. So that's about the impression I wanted to give you, and I think you get the idea. We had a very, very good weather, but due to this nice weather I make it only 1 over, and I'm going to listen and let the net on the background, on the big speaker, and on some small screen here, so the people can comment, and I might hear it, but I also might be preoccupied. So moving back to my video, to my camera, which is very bad lighting here on the, it's a very bad lighting. So this is about what we are doing at the moment, and I think you get the idea. We haven't made too much contact because we had a very filled up program, but I have done this for the first time. Actually this is the first year we are doing this camp for already 25 years, but this is actually the first camp site where we have the group radio. Actually we have 2 radio stations here, PA6 VPK, which is the normal call sign, and actually also PA25 VPK, because the camp radio, the local camp radio, is doing 25 years already radio. But he is not on the QO-100, he doesn't have a line of sight. Okay, that's about the story from this end. Passing it on to, I think, Matt in England. You're up from Papa Alpha. Let's see if I have a test screen, just for the idea that we are passing it back on to you.
Thanks, Benno. Looks like you guys are having some serious fun there. My amp also sits at about 30 degrees C, to start off with. And that's because in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen here, that's my conservatory in the garden. You can see just about see my dish. Well, all my amp and everything is at the end of there. I've got the skylights open and some windows to try and get some flow through, but it still starts off at about 30 degrees C, and it will slowly creep up over time. So I won't make this a really long over. Nice to see you guys. I haven't been on for a while. I've been really busy doing various different projects and had sort of family things going on, just like we all do. Sort of life gets in the way of the hobby sometimes. But I guess one of the most significant things that I've done in regards of my setup, if we want to talk about technical things, is that I'm now using Winter Hill for receive, which is brilliant. I think I managed to grab a couple of the NIMs before they all run out. And so if I just go over to here, so this is the setup I've got. Some of you guys have probably seen this already. I won't go into details about everything that's here because a lot of you have already seen it, especially on like my YouTube. But what we've got here is the Winter Hill now on the bottom left, and obviously got a Raspberry Pi on top. Now I was using a Raspberry Pi before with Node-RED to control everything, and I thought to myself, well, why not just see if I could use the Raspberry Pi 4 that's in the Winter Hill to do everything, so I didn't have to have two Raspberry Pis in there, and it works quite well. I'm quite pleased. The CPU usage on the Winter Hill, I think it was around 15 to 30% when using it. So adding on Node-RED, it did push the CPU usage up a bit. But I've pushed it even further. One of the things that I wanted to do was add in a way of receiving the spectrum, the wideband spectrum, without relying on Goonhilly. You know, we had that outage not so long ago, and it completely screwed up all of the software that I used to try and, you know, find who was on the satellite. So it made me realise that I really didn't want to rely on Goonhilly or any internet for seeing, you know, who's transmitting. So using an AirSpy R2 and the software that I think it's a modified version that Tom at R6TG had put together, I installed that on the same Raspberry Pi. So I've now got the Winter Hill software running on the Pi 4. I've got Node-RED running on the Pi 4. And I've also now got the software which provides me the band scope. Now, if I go over to here, so this is the Quick Tune software, and this is not picking it up from the internet. It's literally coming directly from the FFT data is coming directly from that Pi 4 running on the Winter Hill, which is quite good. So it means that if there's ever an internet issue here or Goonhilly or wherever, I can still transmit. So it's good, and it works really well. And if you're interested in the CPU usage, well, CPU usage at the moment it's 47.9, so it's around half the CPU usage. So there's plenty of headroom there for other things to go on. The other thing that I've been working on, which some of you may have seen previously, is an amplifier. I'm building another amp for QO-100, and that's purely because I was given a pallet from a company called eReon, and let me just put put the main webcam on. I think I've shown this before. So that's the palette, and that's and that will go into the box. I've been making a video series on it on YouTube, which has been quite interesting. Had lots of people making comments and suggestions, which has been great. One of the problems I had was figuring out how to attach the fans to the heatsink, and someone mentioned about shoving some rubber in between the fins and then screwing into it. Well, just so happens that worked really well. so I've now got the fans mounted onto the heatsink, and they are pretty much secure, which is good. So I'm just waiting for a circulator to arrive. I contacted a company in China who manufacture microwave gadgets and gizmos and different things, and so they've agreed to make me one. I think they've already made it and it's already been shipped out, so their engineers tuned it specifically for what I wanted, and that will go on the output just to give it some protection, because it does actually have, you can buy them with or without termination, and luckily they were quite happy to terminate it for me, i.e. have a sort of inbuilt dummy load. So before I power this amp up, I will be putting that on the output. I guess I could actually connect it to an antenna, but just to be safe, I'll do that. Right, it's about all from me, and good to be back, and looking forward to seeing what everybody else has to say. I see we've got quite a few people here on the list, and oh yeah, we've got Peter GW7BZY. Wow, blimey, there's going to be a bit of a punch up going on soon, I think. A competition for the best camera, but anyway, right, I'll put it over to Leon. Nice to see you guys, and look forward to what everybody's got to say this afternoon. So I'll put it over to ZS1 Mike from M0DQW, and what I'll do is, oh yes, that's a good thing, Mike, actually. Yeah, Peter, just be careful. Just remember, don't have that 1 kilohertz tone, because it absolutely kills our ears. But anyway, over to ZS1 Mike from M0DQW.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Right, good morning, Ed, and good afternoon to the rest of the group from ZS1 Mike. Having not much technical news here today. Firstly, I want to say, Benno, yes, I'm also off grid. I'm running off batteries now because we're in load shedding. And yes, very, very nice. Pinksterkamp. Dit klink baie lekker. Dit klink baie goed. So yes, enjoy. And your signal is pretty good from such a small dish there. Really, really doing fine. And Matt, you now have what my biggest wish is to have a no internet spectrum display. That's what I want. And Tom was working on something for me, but he's very busy. Okay, and Mike, now isn't that fantastic? People just come up without looking, eh? Really, that's why I say having a off-grid, off-internet spectrum display is really very, very valuable. Mike, you'll be happy to know that I have managed to master KiCad now. And I've completed my board, and I'll be talking to the manufacturing people in Cape Town tomorrow. I couldn't get hold of them on Friday, but they did send me an email after replying on my email that there's something wrong with their exchange, so their phone numbers don't work, but they gave me a cell phone number and they said they'll contact me first thing tomorrow morning. So that is also happening, and yes. Your instructions unfortunately did not work. You have a different version that I have, and they have changed it completely. But anyway, with help from a friend in Cape Town who also had the old version, and he quickly downloaded the same version that I've got, the new version, and because he also knew something about it, he then fiddled with it and gave me some pointers, and in the end I managed to get it going. And since then I've discovered a whole lot of features, and yes, it works very nicely. So okay, right, that's about it from me for now. As I say, I'm running off batteries because we are in load shedding as well. So Martin, G8KOE for the group from ZS1 Mike.
Right, make sure we've got it, which I think we probably have. Yeah, let's mute the sound. Yeah, good pictures from everybody so far. And Benno particularly, well done. It's not easy to do things portable that you're doing, and it does look like a great time's been had by everybody there. It's a long time since I've done some portable sort of field days, etc. But it looks good. What have I been up to? Things that sort of stopped working was my title. First one being about midway during the week, my main PA decided it wasn't happy. Find a picture. I think we can go there. Hopefully we still got the sound. So that's what it looked like. It wasn't happy at all. I think it's probably my fault. I was playing around with SDR console on the narrowband end, just using the Pluto, and I think in the process of playing, I probably had the Pluto doing its calibration spike, etc., whatever. But anyway, we'll hopefully attempt to get it fixed. But I luckily had a second module, so I've swapped them over at the moment, and that's on the bench, waiting for me to attempt to do something with it. It was still giving some power out, but wasn't at all happy. But I've seen the error in my ways now, and we'll make sure that we don't accidentally do that. I did find the settings in SDR console, and I did get it working. But we're not using that at the moment. The other thing I was playing with is the mini tune. There's the BATC one. For me, I actually lowered the fuses, or the fuse, and I laid the capacitor on its side in the mod to get two outputs, mainly because of the components I already had to sort of plug it up, etc. And I had one of the boards that Mike and the BATC, etc., produced. Excellent little board. My bracket's not as neat as the one that Mike tends to show, but it does work. It does fit in the blue case, and it did work. Everything worked as it should. Had some holes to cover up in the front panel. I must admit we went red, only because I had a couple of washers that we stuck on there to hide things, but it went together quite well, and it's working. Is what I'm using at the moment on OpenTuner. Having sort of had success in doing that, thought we're on a roll here, so decided to replace the socket that I had on my Mini Tuner Pro. The let's go back there because I see we didn't have any sounds. Didn't have a microphone on that camera. I must put a microphone back on it. Anyway, that was the Mini Tuner Pro. So decided to I'd ordered a USB socket because it was always very intermittent, and I had to have the cable forced over to one side to get it to work. And so anyway, we stripped it apart, replaced the socket, which wasn't as easy as I'd thought. Some of the track is quite small. Anyway, got it in, came back, plugged it in, and NIM was not found. So I took it back into the garage, which is stroke workshop, and metered it through, expecting to find that a short circuit or something. Still not working. Came back in, ran the little diagnostic routine software that you get with the Mini Tuner Pro, and on the start you've got all the little asterisk that's supposed to go green. The bottom two, the demodulator detection and the synthesizer detection, remained red. That's strange. Anyway, using the Mini Tuner with OpenTune, it worked fine. It just didn't work with the original software. I think it's R that I'm using version. And I played around for ages. Then I connected it up to my laptop, and it found the NIM straight away. So I was sort of thinking, well, I couldn't quite understand what had gone wrong, whether it was installation of the software, something got corrupted that the Mini-Tune uses. Anyway, that's sort of a long story short. Time went by, and it then suddenly just all started working. So I presume it was a Windows thing getting confused, because I tend to have too many things probably connected. But so the thing that wasn't working, and the amount of time that I spent metering things through, expecting to find that I got very close at one stage to removing the USB socket, but I couldn't see anything wrong with it. Anyway, all is working now, and very pleased with the board there, Mike. Absolutely did the business. So thank you for that. And I think that's about all I've sort of broken so far. I was almost frightened to touch things. Anyway, I'll pass it over to you then, Mike. I'll stick a test card up, and thanks again from G8KOE.
Right. Right, hopefully I've got a picture and audio. I've got it myself. Just increased the power a little bit to compensate, because I noticed it was a little bit lower than yours, Martin. But all good. We'll see if this Italian station comes up without looking again. Just as you were saying something, Leon, to me, but I think you repeated it was about KiCad. So I'll come on to that in a moment. What have I been doing? I've been away for the past week with work, so it's been a bit more busy, but I got back on Thursday and Friday, so I've done a few things. PCBs turned up from China, so I was able to build 2 new boards, which are IF boards for the 9300 and 9700, which allows you to take out the IF and receive it on an SDR. And testing with the 9700 on 237s, I can point my antenna towards the local repeater, the only one that's left now, which actually works, GB3 TV, and I can see that via the IF of the 9700, so that's rather useful. So anyway, I built those up and installed those. That's what I've done most of the time. If you want to buy one, by the way, they're called PTRX, and yes, they're expensive if you buy them. Less so if you build them. It's not that much of a challenge, but it's usually much easier to buy things. Right, Matt, amplifier. That looks good. I was a bit surprised that the Winter Hill isn't in the correct box. I assume you know it doesn't work if it's not in the correct box. So you'll need to think about fixing that little issue. But it looked good on your big tray full of components for the portable yet heavy system. And the other thing was the pallet, wasn't it? And fitting of fans and heatsinks. I still think that heatsink's a bit on the small side, but if you blow it hard enough and the pallet is reasonably efficient, I think it'll be fine. Especially as you're only going to run it at fairly low power. You should be fine with that. You can test the amplifier into a decent load rather than via the circulator, but it has to be a good load, and I don't know if you've got one. I suspect not. So rallies are the place to get those, but with the major rally was last week, so I didn't see you there, so I don't think you've got one. There is a rally coming up. There's a microwave roundtable coming up here in Harwell on the 18th of June, but there's also a few other rallies, and in particular the newbie rally. This is very much a UK centric thing, unless you want to come in from South Africa. Is next later next in the month. I think it's the 23rd, something like that. Always a very good rally to go to. And Noel turned up to that rally with some mini tuner boards and some of the NIMs, but that was the last of the batch. And the extender boards that Martin was showing, they'd actually completely sold out. He'd had 30 delivered earlier in the week, and they'd sold out already. So Tom has revived interest in that, because that was designed back in, I think, 2018-19, before QO-100, and it's languished in the shop for many years until it could be utilised. So there you go. If I was redesigning it, I'd redesign the whole thing differently. And I saw that, I think it was a Dutch amateur, has designed his own board with the chip on it, the FTDI chip, so you don't need to buy the FTDI module, and that is so much cheaper than buying the FTDI module, because that's expensive. But it would require surface mount components, so we'll see if he starts releasing that as a PCB, because I could imagine people will want to build that, save quite a bit of money. And KiCad, Leon, I'm on version 7, so it's not the absolute latest nightly version, but it's the latest actual currently approved version. And it may be you needed to change some of the settings in the JLC section, but I think JLC even do an app now, so you can install it. I know PCBWay do an app, JLC might as well, and that allows you to just basically process the whole thing in one go, and they handle it and give you the board, so very, very good. Okay, I haven't got very much else to say. I don't think I've got anything particular on the bench. One thing I do have is this amplifier in the top corner there, which is the one I bought at the rally last week, so that works. And as you can probably see, I am putting a high side switch in it. Well, I was, and then I remembered I've got these relays. The problem with the high side switch, which I built up, is that I'm missing a key component to the MOSFET. I can wait for the MOSFET. Oh, I could just put a relay in, which these were available on AliExpress very, very cheaply, and do exactly the same job. They're useful little modules, but it's mechanical rather than a FET. So that's pretty much all of it. Okay, now who am I supposed to pass it to? I think it's probably Dave, isn't it? Yeah, Dave with the silver knucker and the red mini tuner. Over to you. Catch you. Oops, sorry, I was showing the bench for probably too long there. Over to you, Dave. G0MJW.
G0MJW, M5TXJ, waiting for his audio to catch up. Yep, there we go. Afternoon, everybody. Just thinking, I think it's the first time I've actually been on the net at the same time as Matt and Nigel. Although I've met Nigel at CAT, I don't think we've ever caught up on the air, as it were. So, afternoon, gentlemen, and yeah, I've very little to report. I've been basically looking after grandchildren most of the week. Son's partner is in hospital with intracranial hypertension, and they're looking at putting a shunt into her brain. I think that's a last resort, but that's where we're looking at the moment. So fingers crossed it doesn't require that, but yeah, it means we've got grandkids. And it's hard work when you're in your 60s. Yeah, the good bit about being a grandparent is normally you can hand them back. Matt, fan mounting. I did mine a little bit different. Similar idea, but I've got some very good RTV. It's the sort of stuff that professionals use rather than you get from Halfrods or wherever. It's made by a company called Worth, W-U-R-T-H, black RTV, and it sticks like the proverbial. So I just use that to stick the fan to the heatsink, a blob in each corner, as it were. And once it's cured, it sort of absorbs vibration and everything. It really works well. So that's that. But yeah, nice to see you in the Winter Hill department. And my Winter Hill is black, Mike. I thought I'd leave that till I came on. Yeah, my Winter Hill is black. Martin. Yeah. I would call that the back of your mini tuner. All my radios and everything else have all the connections on the back, not on the front. My mini tuner has a switch on the front with a LED next to it that's green most of the time, or red if the RT5047 shows fault. My Winter Hill has absolutely nothing on the front, and my Nooker has a red LED to show there's power. But to me, those are the front, and the back is the one with the connectors, as all the connectors are at the back of the shack shelves. But you know, to each his own. So don't take that as criticism. But yeah, Mike, a couple of things. I bow to your knowledge. RT5047 boards. I've run out of 10 microhenry SMD inductors. Would I be okay? I mean, my head says yes, but would I be okay to your intelligence just winding a little coil on, say, an FT 3743? I think 5 turns gives about 9.8 microhenries. Of course, I can wind it with decent wire, and I'm thinking that should do. But I'll bow to your knowledge as you designed the circuit board. And NIMS, yeah, it's great that the NIMS have been flying off the shelf, as it were. I do worry that a lot of people have now got extra NIMS so that they can just use the dual channel open tuner, which, yeah, we need NIMS to get new people on the air. But is SDR the way we need to go? Personally, I think we need to sort of work on someone who can write software, because it's total black magic to me. But write software for, say, using a Pluto to receive with SDR Angel some bespoke DATV software that doesn't have all the bells and whistles. You just click an on-screen button and it receives at whatever frequency. I think that's what we now need to look at as a hobby. Yeah. And other than that, I know Michael isn't on today, but I've got my mini engine and gearbox back together now in one unit. But I've discovered that because I'm fitting a 1275 pre-A series or pre-A plus series engine to an A plus series box, the gear that joins the two together is different. So I'm now on the hunt for a new gear. I can buy one. They're only about £200, but I think I've got a friend who can machine the one I've got to make it fit. So fingers crossed. But yeah. Right. I think that's me for now. So Peter, get ready. Yeah. Oh, for those who don't know, yeah, I'm now using a numeric keypad as an alternative to a Stream Deck, and it's working brilliantly. I'm really impressed. It's tidied things up at this end, all for the sake of a fiver. Right, catch you on the second time round. Okay, Peter, GW7BZY on the net, M5TXJ.
All right. This is GW7BZY, live from North Wales. Okay, excellent stuff. Let's have a look at me notes. Matt, good to see you in there, Matt. Or was it Martin? Both having trouble with the OT receiving without the display working. Well, I use OT doesn't work for me anymore. It won't open. The latest version of Windows with update decides now it doesn't want to open the second part, so it'll open the black text page, but it won't open the It just says program going into some illegal activity, and that's it. It just blanks it. Actually, if you're not watching it, it'll actually delete the program from its file. So I'm sure there's a way around it, and I'll get round to doing it at some point. I'm just having a look on the messages, see what's going on. So what I'm using now, what I'm mostly using is Minitune V0.2 scan and tune, and that has a spectrum display map, which is very handy. So there is a software now that works without any internet intervention, and it works very well. And I use a little Minitune in the box. I have my original Minitune, which I built. So I do build stuff just in case people think I don't actually. But the thing was, I don't know what this cost me, but within the time I finished building it, which wasn't very long, we all went to DVB S2, which of course this one doesn't work. So that one just gets put. It never got into a box. I'm not good at putting stuff in boxes, I got to say. It usually sort of languishes on the desk with power to it until there's a short and then it dies. But that one, unfortunately, became obsolete before I got a chance to destroy it. Like Martin there. I'm sure is it finger problems, Martin? So I only use my finger to put it on the PA to see how warm it is. That's the only digital work I do. But there we are. Excellent stuff. Benno, fantastic. Bit of OB, very good. Very challenging. I'm surprised, for everything to work is always very challenging when you go outside. I mean, I've been doing ATV for many years, and I went a long way, and being back to the repeater that would be on Anglesey, and only to find that I'd put the audio into the videos and the video into the audio socket, and nobody saw anything. And it worked perfectly up to the point. Why it got changed around, I don't know. Just moving stuff about, I suppose. But there you are. Something always goes wrong. Well, usually does. Anything else? Mike there. I says you're not been doing very much, but it always sounds like you're very busy there. Always up to something. Very clever stuff. TXJ. I didn't make any notes about what you've done, so I don't know. Oh, you the grandchildren. Yeah, always a challenge. Since we moved, the wife's fallen out with the daughter-in-law somehow, and we haven't seen the grandchildren now for a couple of years, so she's not happy about that. But I'm not particularly fussed. What have I been doing? I've been playing the camera a little bit. I think Gary sort of thrown down the gauntlet for challenge on picture quality, so I think I've upped my game this side a little bit. I've got my peak program meter, which I haven't bothered putting on screen now, but there is an app that you can get now that works. I don't really get what it does. I need Mike to explain it to me, I think. But anyway, I've got one. I put the limiter on in the camera, so that doesn't matter. What I've been doing, I've been painting the house. I thought I cleaned all the paint off, but I was painting the house this morning. I only came in about 10 minutes before the session was about to start. So I like a bit of DIY, and I like a bit of building. So any work that needs doing that I can do, I always do myself, and I enjoy it, to be fair. Lovely day, nice day to be out in the sun painting. I had to put a hat on because the old hair is getting a bit thin, and the head burns. I think a lot on the radio today can appreciate that. That's about it for me. I'll come back on the next one. Comment on. Let's have a look. Can I fix it? Can I fix it? I don't know. I'll have a try. The background out of focus is what I'm laughing about before anybody thinks I've just gone completely bonkers. Can I fix it? Yes, I can. From GW7BZY. Shall we go over to the group? Back to whoever.
Okay, fantastic. Those two guys are watching DATV Net very closely. Hi, everybody. Yep, good morning for me. It's 10 to midday. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you from Brazil. Papa Yankee 2 Romeo November. Hello, Gary. Thanks again to coordinate the DATV Net. Hi to Papa Alpha 6, Vitor Papa Kilo, everybody me watching there on the field. Hope you enjoy the time out. Very nice. Matt, Mike 0 Delta Quebec Whiskey Zulu Sierra 1 Mike. Leon, yeah, I always have had this concern of monitoring the spectrum without relying on internet, so I just got one of these. Let me change. Which it works fine. Yeah, it goes up to 9600 megahertz, and so it catches the LNB output around 740, and it shows the spectrum quite well for the wideband transponder. They have a newer version of this TNSA, which is the TNSA Ultra, that goes up to, I don't know, I think 5 gigahertz, but it's more expensive. For the purpose of monitoring the wideband from the LNB, I think this one is enough, and it's a good option. I think it's a good option to do that, and don't depend on the internet. What else? Martin, yep, nice mini tuners. Yeah, that's something that worries me because if someone that would be interested in jumping in the ATV, it seems we don't have any other option to receive. Yeah, we do have some SDR based, but I did some experiments myself with those SDR based, and that is really not very sensitive. So for you guys there in Europe or maybe Africa is going to be okay because you get a strong signal from the satellite. You have a good elevation. But for me here in Brazil with only 7 degrees, the signal is not enough. So the software is very unstable. That's my experiences with the software decoding. And Mike, yeah, that also fits to you. Dave, my best wishes to your grandchildren, and hope everything goes okay. Just before I forget, last net I just presented an idea to put those copper tapes as a thermal interface between the LDMOS to the copper board. That doesn't work. Forget about it. Bad results. I just rolled back and went with metal liquid. Yeah, metal liquid. I understand that soldering should be the best option, but I try to avoid doing soldering because if you need to replace the MOS, that's going to be a pain. if it's soldered on the copper bed. So that's the reason I prefer doing something that is gonna become easier to remove the LED MOS. Anyways, Peter, that's good. And that's the first time I'm using here software encoding, thanks to my friend Pedro, Charlie Tango 1, I'm sorry, Charlie Tango 2 Golf Victor Hotel. He gave me all the directions to run FFmpeg and setting it up with OBS. So I'm not for the first time I'm not using my external H.265 encoder. I'm just doing that by software. About the quality, I don't know. For my eyes, it seems very similar. The only thing I noticed very strongly, it's the delay, increase it a lot. So like if I do that, my hand will shake after, I don't know, almost 10 seconds. Yeah, it takes a lot of time doing encoding by software. Using the boxes, the delay is much smaller. But anyways, it's working. It's a good option, yeah, I'm satisfied with that. So back to the net now with John, Golf 7 Juliet Tango Tango from Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Back to you, John.
Right, hopefully we're in. We've got some audio. Yes, right, let's mute that. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Yeah, I only just got into it. The notification on my phone came up that the net was going to start, so I had to quickly run up and A, find a link to log in, and then B, log in and make sure everything was working. So anyway, we're here. Apologies up front, something's very vocal this morning, so it may make some very strange noises in the background, but unfortunately nothing I can do about that. But I've got loads of stuff wrote down. I did miss a little bit at the start of the net. I suppose the first thing is, Peter, what version of OpenTune are you using? Because I had an issue that Tom addressed where mine kept shutting down. I only had the one tuner, and the reason it kept shutting down was I've got one of the oldest NIMs in my QO-100 one. It's the one without the power amplifier, the LNA in it, sorry. So it was trying to find the LNA, and when it couldn't find it, it kept crashing the software. So it's possible that if you upgrade the version of OpenTune, that may fix it, possibly. It may be a completely different thing. The other thing was, I just saw on there everyone putting up about the signals everyone's getting off of Ed earlier on. I'm probably a fraction of a dB or so down on some. Again, I think that's because my NIM doesn't have the LNA in it. But one of the things I did decide, I've been playing in the garden this morning. The weather over in the UK at the moment is just incredibly hot, and for a bank holiday, yeah, that ain't right. Something's going to go wrong. So only good thing is it's meant everybody's gone out, so it's not quiet around here at the moment. But anyway, one of the things I was playing around with was a couple of old dishes that I've got, just to thinking about sort of a portable type setup. And I remember some time ago someone was suggesting that for whatever reason LMBs are noisier on the horizontal position than they are on the vertical position, because the horizontal needs 18 volts into it, whereas the vertical needs 12. I actually observed that on about 3 LMBs that I was trying with, and I could actually increase the signal to noise ratio on the horizontal stuff by actually rotating the NMB through 90 degrees and using the vertical polarization. So I don't know if anybody else has noticed that at all, or if there's any reason as to why that would do that. Only thing I can imagine is that it's potentially put a bit more stress on the, if it's got a voltage regulator in there, you put 18 volts in, you could produce a bit more noise that way on one of the voltage converters, whatever. So that was that. 6 meters has been wide open most days. I did see a small opening into South America, excuse me, for a little while. I didn't manage to get in myself, but there was certainly a small opening. But there was also a small opening down into South Africa as well. So I know we were playing around on 10 meters, but maybe it's about time we dust off the 6 meter stuff now as well for DATV. That will be quite interesting. So that was that. And lastly, people going on about the software versions. Well, I've actually been poking around a little bit, and I've used SDR Angel, and I find that works really well. I've also been using the DVBS GUI software and find that works reasonably well. But as you quite rightly say, you do need slightly stronger signals. Now, Tom did suggest that he was going to look into perhaps possibly trying to incorporate SDR Angel into OpenTuner. But at the end of it, and I think we've all forgotten about it, is that Lean DVB is the background to it. So if I where are we? Right, let's just put that across to there. So basically, this is something that Everest wrote a long time ago. There, look, work in progress as 2019, I think it is. There we go. I don't know how much work has been done on it since, but this is basically the back end of what SDR Angel uses. Now, as Tom has already managed to incorporate, not suggesting Tom does this, but I know he likes a challenge. But as he's already managed to do the long read side of it into a Windows environment, I wonder how difficult it's going to be to get this into a Windows environment. And then potentially he's got all the issues, all the bits and pieces there to incorporate it into OpenTuner as well. So it's never going to be as good as hardware, I get that. But as computers get faster and faster, and if it's possible to offload some of the mass onto either the GPU or FPGA or something, I do wonder whether or not this is the route, as Dave said, that we should be looking at. The only other alternative, obviously, is to get someone who's super clever to design a new NIM for us. And the only thing that sprung to mind with regards to that, is a little bit naughty, I guess, would be to let's get back onto me. Would be to perhaps get that, I forget the guy's name now. The guy who pirated the Pluto. He did a Chinese copy of it, didn't he? But whether or not something like that could be done, or if we can buy the license off of Cerit to produce the chips ourselves. I don't know. I don't know what all this cost is, but it does seem a shame that we're in a situation now where it's become more and more popular than it's ever been, and we can't really sort of feel the need anymore, can we? So we do need to look elsewhere, I'm sure of it. So with that, I think that's probably it. Let me just read the chat, make sure I'm not missing nothing. Yeah, one of the antennas I was using, Mike, was one of those ex-broadband commercial jobbies, which I think are more geared up for vertical because it's long and thin, so that makes it horizontal. That makes it vertical, doesn't it? So that could be one of the things on there. I don't know, but anyway, I did. You can actually see the note. You can noticeably see the noise increase more on the 18 volts than you do on the 12 volts. But anyway, that was just an observation. What else have I done? Nothing else really. That's pretty much it. Got sunburned the other day, as I think everybody else has. This weather in the UK, we don't get used to it. We never do. We complain about the snow, we complain about the rain, we complain about everything. We don't get enough of anything for long enough to get used to it. So we have to complain. There we go. Right, with that, I assume it probably goes back around to Gary. If not, somebody else will probably take it. So, right to you, Gary. ZS, I can never remember the number, apologies. ZS6YI, G7 JTT.
Okay, John, let me just get this. Okay, very good. Very good. Yeah, you'll remember it now, ZS6 Young Idiot. That will keep you going. Okay, let's just go down the list. So far, very interesting indeed. Benno, Papa Alpha 6, Victor Papa Kilo. We say hi to everyone with you there in the tent. And it's fantastic to see you guys are assisting the youngsters to come onto amateur radio and do soldering. And that's fantastic because the hobby absolutely needs that for it to continue. So we salute you guys in Holland of Nederland. En ek glo julle het baie pret vandag. Ja, ons is van Suid-Afrika. So there we go, far away. Matt, excellent signal as per usual, nice audio, beautiful. And I was following your YouTube program on the amp you're building, or knocking together. It's looking good. I wonder how many parts it's going to be, but it'll be very, very interesting to see it operational. As it is, you're putting out a very good and clean signal, so there's no problem. But it's nice to have that. And I've been actually looking at it. I got the advert sent to me not so long ago. Yeah, it looks good. Anyway, so I do look forward to seeing, and I mean the word seeing, the results on the band in due course. Then Martin, you know, I have mentioned this to you before. I noticed that your PA was making quite a lot of regrowth at the bottom. And there you have it. So you got this other amp on, it's as clean as a whistle. But I would suggest you just double check your antenna, your potty or whatever you're using. Because something got a bit hot on that board. I certainly hope you haven't cooked the transistors. But I'm sure you'll get it right at some time or the other. And yeah, but I do urge you to just check that antenna connections. Anything can go wrong. And that's the problem that we have with these things, eh? Leon, good on getting to grips with the KeyCAD. Yeah, Leon's got an interesting question regarding the VIOs and the board, the way he's had to do it. Maybe you can advise him, Mike. I'm sure Leon will come up with that question. He found a workaround, but it seems to be a bit of a pity. You just can't slap these VIOs in without going to different planes. But anyway, and then Leon, Olans, that is one SCI, is looking at doing a spectrum for us, as I mentioned on the phone the other day, but using a cheap RTL. I think the challenge is to get it to be wide enough, 10 meg or so wide. But he's going to see what he can do with a very, very cheap RTL. And that might work as well as what Matt's got going there. But let's see what happens. It's nice to have these things being developed by these young software engineers. Mike, of course, as per usual, excellent over from your side. and a nice amp you've got in the corner there. And yeah, work gets involved with the ham radio projects, doesn't it? That's very bad. Dave, I certainly hope it goes well with the shunt. It's a very big step to take, but we pray for a rapid and complete recovery. It is stressful, there's no doubt. So our thoughts are with you guys. Peter, I didn't throw the gauntlet down on picture quality. There's a guy with a very big wooden spoon, and he likes to stir. And his name is none other than Martin, G8KOE. However, having said that, what I want to say is, now that you've combed your hair, you certainly have the best picture quality on DATV. And yeah, I like the way you changed your f-stop quickly to get it into focus, and the width that runs around. Yeah, I wonder what they want to see on that label. Yeah. Ed, hello to the two, what's it, teddy bears or puppets or whatever. You always have the knack of coming up with something good. And a very nice spectrum analyzer that I've actually seen, the newer model. I think it goes up to about 6 gigahertz or something. It's quite impressive. And it seems to work out very well for you there. So there we go. John, nice to see you, and nice to see you looking healthy, sunburned and all. The picture of health. So you keep it that way. And interesting observation on that LNB polarization. I can't say I've noticed that, but I'm certainly going to swing mine around 90 degrees and see what it does, and just change the voltage. Might help a bit, although I'm getting a good signal as it is, but it's always interesting to see what can be done. But yeah, I cannot see why the higher voltage should make more noise, but it's possible. Anything's possible, but I'm wondering if the higher voltage actually does give you the perfect horizontal polarization. There could be some leakage there which you're not getting if you really turn it. But yeah, we'll try that sometime, perhaps this week, and then report back next week. Okay, I know Benno said he wants to run. He doesn't want to come back. He said he's just going to have one over because they're quite busy, as you could have seen. So what I will do is then, Benno, I'll skip you, seeing that you did ask not to come back, and I'll pass it all the way back to Matt for round number 2. Let me get Matt's call sign. M0DQW to take from ZS6 Yankee India.
Thanks, Gary. Let's make sure that I'm working. Audio is there. Yeah, okay. There's some amusing comments going on today that's actually had me literally falling off my chair. It's so funny. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love these little digs. They're brilliant. Anyway, so just just I've got some notes, as we all do. Yeah, I wonder what Leon. I wonder what Tom's doing for you. I wonder if it's part of the same system that I'm using by using an AirSpy R2, or whether it was, I think, what Gary just mentioned about using a like a normal SDR. But yeah, obviously the trouble is with a normal SDR or the cheaper RTL SDRs is the bandwidth. So you'd probably have to kind of sample it in stages. But yeah, interesting. Mike, did you say that you can get, was it GB3 TV Tango Victor? Was it Tango Victor? Because that's really close. That's in my neck of the woods. If that's what you meant. what you said, and putting the Winter Hill in a box. I presume you're being sarcastic because you're right. It does. It does look fantastic in the box, but you know what? I didn't want to spend the money on the box. They're like 40 quid, and I think Farnell didn't have any stock at the time, and I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to put it in my big box anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And also, I noticed that the NIMS do get really, really warm. So I just thought, you know, I'll leave it out of the box, and it seems to work okay, which is quite good. And regards to dummy load, I've only got a 25 watt dummy load, which can handle up to 2.4 gigahertz. I have been looking on AliExpress. You can get those 200 watt dummy loads that I think they go up to 3 gigahertz. I wonder if anybody's got any experience with those. They're quite cheap. I think they're about 30 or 40 pounds. So definitely sort of a nice budget, but are they any good? I don't know if anyone's actually had any experience with that. GB3 TV near Luton. Yeah, well, the thing is with GB3 TV, it's actually at Dunstable. So it's literally, if I look out of my window here and turn right and look right, it's up on the hills. So I can actually receive it and decode it using my tri-band antenna that's on the roof. It's a 270 and 23 SEMS antenna, and I can decode it. I think I've done a video on it. I decoded it with SDR Angel. So that's not too far away from me. The only thing I'm not sure about is whether it's horizontal or vertically polarized, because I wouldn't mind trying transmitting to it at some point, but obviously I'm going to need a Yagi or lots of power. But anyway, afternoon, Dave. Nice to see you on. Nice to see you on here. I don't know if we've worked before on the Thursday BATC net. Quite possibly. I can't remember. But anyway, nice to see you. And I totally agree with you about the SDR side of things. But I find, I don't know, I mean, I know everyone, I know a few of you have tried SDR Angel and the DVBS GUI application. But I always find that it's quite fiddly. And you have to kind of really, you know, fiddle around with the settings to get it to decode and work properly. And on that subject, I was thinking, if you think about how these things work or how they were originally designed to decode or to receive like Freeview TV or whatever, using an application like this. So this is an application called Smart DVB, and that uses the Realtek drivers to work with the RTL STR dongle, and that works and receives TV absolutely fine. You know, you can receive digital TV, you get the program come up, and you can sit there for hours and watch it without falter. So so I think the hardware in SDR should be capable of creating an application similar to like this Smart DVB program, which can work exactly the same as the hardware based DATV receivers. So I think it's just a case of just getting someone clever enough to make the software to make it reliable, because buying something like this, let me put that back to, so buying something, like this for 20 quid and then running a bit of software that obviously someone's done for free, would really get people into DATV. I mean, if you're talking QO-100, you just need a dish, an LNB, and a bias T, and then something like this. So, I mean, obviously you can still do that now with like SDR Angel, but it's a bit fiddly. But having something that's very, very point and click and it just works would be great. Basically like Mini Tuner or Open Tuner, but with an SDR. I think that would be awesome, and I think that'll attract a lot of people as well. talking about the bands, having a live. Let me just put this here. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm taking the FFT data here from the application, which is running on the Raspberry Pi, and then using an AirSpy R2 because it has a nice wide bandwidth. It can sample the whole lot at the same time. However, if any of you are running the 0303 firmware on your Pluto, if you SSH into it, you'll find an application called QO-100 server, I think it's called. Do you know what? I don't want to mess around with it while I'm transmitting because I've only got the one. But there's an application there called QO-100 server, and you can run it. And what it will do, it'll provide this screen, and it will give you the band plan, basically running from your Pluto. The address is your Pluto IP address /rx/wb.html. So if you've got another Pluto, it will work. Or you can use the same one, but then you'd probably just have to stop running that application when you want to transmit. Obviously, you don't get a white screen. You get the whole nice band plan here where this white area is. But obviously, I'm not going to have that running while I'm transmitting. So anyway, I don't know if anyone else has played around with that. In fact, Martin, that's something that I think I mentioned to you in an email to try. So that's another way of seeing the wideband scope without the internet. Right, okay, I'll make this my last comment, and I don't think there's anything else in my notes. Gary, if you don't see a part 3 video of my amplifier, you know I've blown it up. Anyway, on to the next person. ZS1 Mike M0 DQW. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.
Okay, Matt. Yeah, okay. I'll ask Gary whether he's seen a part 3 of your thing. I don't know exactly. Well, it must be roughly the same, because what I've asked Tom is an SDR dongle that is plugged into a Raspberry Pi. So it must be basically what you have there. I don't even need the auto tuning or anything. I just want to see, like I'm seeing it now on Scan and Tune, but it's so freaking slow on Scan and Tune. I mean, gee whiz. I mean, I think I have 6 real spectrum analyzers, big machines. I could use a spectrum analyzer and tee it off, but I haven't got the space here to put it. And it'll be a waste of a very expensive instrument to have it running the whole 2 hours that we have the thing just for monitoring the spectrum. Yeah, okay, that's that. Gary, you got caught out by Peter there. He didn't change the f-stop. He's using that software thing, the function in his camera to blur the background. And I could see that. Was it earlier today or was it yesterday? Somewhere when he was testing. I said, his picture's good, but there's some artifacts in the background. On the edge of his chair and on the edge of his hair somewhere. You can see little artifacts. There's some software manipulation here. This is not true depth of field. So, yeah. I actually thought of putting the Sony up here today, but I didn't get around to it. I'm busy making some other PC boards, which I must finish right now. So this must get out of the way, and then it's the UV light and all the stuff for the exposure and all that. This is the 8 tiny and the power supply and the modulation section for that same project where I need the amplifier for. This is the normal board which I make in-house to control that synthesizer, and I want to do that now. So I'll have to shut down pretty soon. Okay. The other interesting thing, okay, the virus I've sorted out, Gary. I just per accident thought, there's somewhere there's a move thing on that program, and I couldn't for the life of me find the move again on KiCad. So I just pressed M, click on the wire and press M, and then you're free to move it wherever you want it and put it down. Works like a dream. Okay, I've got a lot to learn, but I'm quite happy that I can do something with it now, and yeah, it works. Right, I've answered on Peter's video. The LNB noise, John, that I'm just guessing, but the vertical and horizontal probes inside the cavity in an LNB, they're not in the same plane. The one is separated. I don't know whether it's a quarter wave or whatever, but it's so the distance of the probes from the shorted end of the waveguide is different for the vertical and the horizontal one, and surely that must have some effect on the quality of the reception, on the noise figure in the end, which is what we're interested in. I'm just guessing. The voltage, it still goes through a regulator inside the LNB, so the gas FETs will get the same voltage. They only use a voltage sensor for the switch over chip, which surely has got nothing to do with the actual amplification or anything. It's two independent first amplifier stages. Each antenna has got its own little gas FET, but I'm sure they're pretty close in quality. But if you on three of them saw the same effect, all I can think is the difference. The one is like there and the other one is there, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but a very interesting observation. When I get round to it, playing with things outside, I'll have a look at it as well. Okay, that's it from me. I also have to go now. As I say, I must clear the deck here and get ready for making that PC board quickly. So I give it to Martin. G8 KOE for the group. Oh, whoa, no, I have a comment for you. What I see on the picture of your destructed amplifier is a blown electrolytic. They normally go age, which is not the case there. Over voltage, yes, could be, or over current, and also a destructed ceramic surface mount cap. That amplifier either went into oscillation, which draws excessive amounts of current from those decoupling caps, or you had over voltage from your supply. So it's just my guess. Overdriving it from the Pluto, I don't know. I've never lost anything in my whole chain, and some people say don't switch on the RF before you've switched on the amplifier. I've tried both methods, and it works. I've never blown my amp, and I'm still using the first one that I've built, so it just works. Okay guys, take it Martin. G8 KOE for the group. ZS1 Mike saying 73. I'll still be watching while I'm reconfiguring this space for PC board making.
Right, I think we're there. Yeah, I think you might be spot on with it going into oscillation. I did notice on the second board that I've got, because they normally, I think when they were in use, had a nice cover over them, and I suspect that it is a little bit lively, and I suspect that's what happened. But I don't. It definitely wasn't overvolted. It certainly happened after I've been playing around, but yeah, I've got some investigation to do there. But you're quite right on the two components that are gone, and it was still giving some output, so something wasn't totally dead. but it wasn't happy. So the way in which I'd constructed things, I could swap out. I've got the cover that would go over has arrived, so I could fit a cover to it inside the box, which is a fairly large box, but we'll see. Yeah, fine on that, Matt. I didn't try those commands you gave me. I will do. I got sidetracked with other things. They're ready, but I will do. That looks quite interesting. I did dig out my scan and tune, which see if it still worked, which obviously it is, which gives you the display there. So I'm running that, and I'm also running OpenTuner, which is across there, which is the top is FFmpeg and the bottom is VRC. So I noticed on the BATC net that Dave wouldn't decode on the VRC, but according to John, JTT did on the FFmpeg side of things. Right, to change the subject totally, everyone was talking about Mini. Did dig out. Oh yeah, I know. Before I go to that, let's go to the other camera. It isn't. That's where all my bits are. So the front has got nothing on them. On the window hill, which is obviously at the bottom, and the mini tuner, which is on top. So all those things are hidden behind. And on top of that is SDR play. On the right hand side is just a power supply. The top blue thing is an open spot, which isn't in use, and beneath it is the converter thing to go for the little simple SDR to give it a shortwave side of things. Anyway, that's under there. Let's go back to the other side of things. Yeah, being minis were being mentioned. I sort of found this picture. That's my Mini, or was. That was my second car. I had a lot of fun with that, I must admit. Did enjoy that. Including the poster in the background, which some people will know about. And I think there's a Caroline sticker in the back window. I'm sure it's either a Caroline sticker or it could even be Swinging Radio England, which was a station that was locally in Brighton. And in the front, the orange one, I was trying to think whether that was Veronica, but I can't remember. That was certainly something else. But even if we make it bigger, it won't actually help. But yeah. Anyway, that's side going to minis. She hasn't decoded me on the scanning tune. It doesn't seem to like me for some reason. It's still got M0D QW up there. Anyway, that's about all. Good net. I've been looking for my wooden spoon. That's what I've been looking for. I can't find it anywhere. Yeah, combing of hair. You want to watch it because this is what happens if you comb it too much. Yeah, I was going to dig out my picture. You wouldn't believe I had hair down to here, and a beard, but not anymore. Right. Was there anything else I was going to comment on? Probably, but I've forgotten. Should make more notes, and I'm looking forward to the part 3 then of the PA. That's the smoke, isn't it? I presume you'll have a fire extinguisher alongside the PA when you test it. And yeah, good to see you there, John. Gardening, dear oh dear. I I haven't been doing any gardening. Well, I can't do it whilst the hay fever's around. I do suffer quite badly, and the throat's dry even today. Right, enough waffle from me. Thanks, Gary, for running the net and being the best picture. Cracking picture today. It's one of the best I've seen. Don't know how you do it. Anyway, over to Mike from G8KE.
Thank you, Martin. Right, okay. So a few comments, and been interesting net so far. One thing that I better mention right up front actually is I did see, I think Walter said that they might come back from the Dutch sauna, but there was an issue with a barbecue. So they may all be munching away, or they may be looking forward to coming back on. So we should perhaps leave a gap and find out if they do want to come back and tell us a little bit more about the event that they're holding. Matt, GBC TV is receivable here. It's about D10, something like that. It's quite a way away, but surprisingly it does work. And Arthur G4 CPE is local to you. And is quite often on DATV. Certainly someone to ask about all sorts of things, including things like dummy loads. The other place is eBay, but you have to be knowing what you're looking for, and the prices tend to be a lot higher. So anyway, if I see you at the rally, and if you have any questions, do just ask. Right, what else? Oh yeah, so Leon, you were talking about KiCad, and not knowing about the shortcuts. So let me just go to the desktop. This is not the right desktop yet, but it will be. So this is KiCad. If you are designing a PCB and you want to move something, it's very, very easy. This is the old icon thing that I did the other week. But you can right click and you get all this menu, and if you look here it says move, and next to the move is M. Hopefully you can see that, even though it's small. Those are the keyboard shortcuts. So R for rotate counterclockwise, Shift R to rotate clockwise, F to flip the side of the board, all of these things. There's quite a few things you can do. The usual cut, copy, paste. Duplicate is Control D, which for most people probably means terminate. So it's a little bit confusing sometimes, but it's got all those keyboard shortcuts which you have to learn or remember. And there's all sorts of other things you can do when you're designing a PCB. You can select things, and you can turn the stuff on and off, like turn the tracks on and off, which is useful sometimes, or the zones, or the pads. And you can select various layers and turn on things. So I generally turn off front fabrication because it's very confusing. But down here in the bottom there's a selection filter. So if you're having trouble selecting something, if you click on this, I won't be able to select anything anymore, which might be useful. If I just want to select, for example, text for the labels, then I can just select text, and now it'll only select text. So it selected the text there, and I can move that about or rotate it, for example, but it won't select or disturb any of the tracks, so that's quite useful. There's all sorts of things you can do, but this ain't a KiCad lesson, so it's come back to me. I was expecting Matt might comment on a pair of things that are on the desk, but he didn't, because he did a review of one of them. Well, the other one turned up last week, and it's absolutely identical outside, apart from one bit on the keyboard, slightly different, but completely different in terms of what it is, and it includes GPS, and it's the same price. So interesting that. Anyway, they're very good as far as I can tell. I've not looked at the spectrum of this one. I plan to do that at some point, but quite impressed with its performance. It seems very sensitive, very rugged, and very, very cheap. Right, with that, I don't think there was anything else for me to comment on. If there is, apologies. I'll just look at the chat, see if there's anything there. I'll leave a gap. Okay, thank you, Dave. So maybe over to Walter or Benno in the Netherlands, but otherwise M5 TXJ round to you, G0 MJW.
No, it doesn't look like we've got anything from Benno. I'll go mute my sound. Right. First of all, thanks everybody for the best wishes for the son's partner. I'll definitely pass them on. Lots of interesting stuff today, especially a bit about LNBs and yeah, Ed, your signal today, really, really strong. Well, stronger than I've seen it before. An MER of 10.6 here, really good. So yeah, well done. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Peter, excellent, excellent picture. Now we just need to get your lip sync fixed. Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep the cheat going, but yeah, that's your next job, Peter. Or we'll be putting a ticker across the bottom of ours. Please fix your lip sync. Martin, your PA. Yeah, I'd suspect possibly a connector somewhere, and that thing's gone into oscillation. I don't know what you do for connectors, whether you put an SMA on the end at an angle as Jim does or whatever, but this is what I do, he says. Right, go to this thing, and I've replaced the input connectors with some long SMAs, and the output I've just connected directly to the tracks on the board. And then I can use good quality end connectors on the ends of the semi-rigid. But this palette, it's got me baffled, because when it came, I don't know if you can see there, right about the middle of the picture, there's a capacitor missing. And at this side, yeah, about the middle of the picture again, capacitor missing. They're there on the other side, other channel, so I need to perhaps desolder some and measure, but I would imagine they're possibly 10 microfarad, 50 volt or something, high RF current. But yeah, so that's my spare palette, he says, trying to put the lid back on one-handed. Yeah, as you see, you can see I'm still making my notes on the desktop. So go back to camera. Oh yes, definitely impressed with this idea of a keypad for changing cameras and things. It's really making life a lot easier. Right, thanks to everyone, especially Gary for running the net. I've just realised I need to pop into town and buy some things for taking to eat at work tomorrow. I'm at work at 5 AM again. So with that, I'll watch the end of the net, and I shall pass it round to Peter, who's been frantically adjusting his audio, and wish you all a good day. 73 from M5 TXJ. Oh, by the way, I used that test card before, just to prove that I have been around a little while. The M5 confuses people, but yeah, I think it's 45 years this year. Frightening. Where does time go? Yeah. Bye for now. M5 TXJ.
M5 TXJ GW7BY. Thanks there. Let's turn the sound down to me. System. I haven't put your name down. I've forgotten it. Okay, yeah. Hopefully lip sync a little bit better. I had it on 6 frames. Now it's back to its usual 9. I don't know whether it's lip synced or not. You know what? I'm not as interested in lip sync. The reason the hair got combed was because it was, as nothing gets past Leon there. Leon's definitely on the ball with the video picture. Um, um, any sort of it's getting a bit thin on top, I have to say, but it just went into a sort of a foggy sort of blur. So that's why I've chromed it to make it a little bit more convincing. Yes, I don't have a depth of field really, native from the camera. Because it's quite bright in here, isn't it? And I could wind round the neutral density filter and generate a little genuine blur, but I'm not that keen on blur, to be honest with you. Yeah, I think that Martin's always breaking something there. I don't know how he's broke that. He's probably put his finger in. I think that's what the difficulty is. I don't know about end connectors. I have on my amplifier. I've got some strange connector. And I can't remember what it's called. This is the female end of it. It's on the amplifier. This is an adapter that I used. So when I was tuning my amplifier, the other way to avoid disaster is to put the VNA on the antenna and see whether it's swared correctly or something. That's quite a useful thing there, Martin. I just mentioned that. Minis, yeah. I had my first crash in a Mini. My brother was driving. I don't think neither of us were legal, and it was snowing, and I came around this corner, and things ended badly. Not very strong from what I remember. Didn't take it too well. Luckily, both me and my brother and I were unscathed, and we pushed the wreck to the side and carried on. That's about it, really. JTT, talk of SDR Angel. None of the SDR programs work with my Pluto. None of the programs open properly on my with my PC. The only program I have that actually works with the Pluto and my version of Windows and PC is SDR Cube. Something I came across. I think it's quite a simple program, but it works. None of the other ones do. SDR Console doesn't work. SDR Angel doesn't work. SDR Angel doesn't open. It's just a blank screen. You can't get any controls to come up. So I'm not my old PC. Everything worked perfectly, even though it was AMD. And this PC, I think it's Asus Predator or something. Nothing as far as SDR programs work with it. Obviously, there's something it doesn't like. And Windows, of course, doesn't like a lot of things now. I can't open Tuner either. It just doesn't open. And then I had it running, and it works. Sometimes I reinstalled it, or reopened it, downloaded it, etc., etc. It worked. I went away, came back. It had disappeared off the screen, and the file had disappeared from the software. The application had disappeared from its file. So Windows don't like it. I know I'm assigning sort of human attributes to Windows, but certainly it's a strange program. That's about it, Matt. Yeah. I think the software that actually receives DATV would be really good. I mean, I have a high-des tuner, which VLC will open and receive. You just put the relevant data in, frequency, etc., and bandwidth, and it receives. So something similar to that for DVB-S would be ideal. And of course, it works on the narrow bands. My high-des transmitter will only transmit down to 2 megs, and using the USB high-des dongle and VLC, it'll receive perfectly adequately. So it must be doable. With that, I'm going to go. Say good afternoon to everybody. Good pictures from you, Gary. I think you've gone. Martin, as always, good pleasure to see you there. And everybody else. This is GW7BZY. I'm handing it to PY2RN, I think. Be still there?
Strange. I'm not decoding myself. Let's see from Gary's. Yeah, it's working. It's working on Gary's. All right then. Excellent net. Thank you, everybody. Quite well. Yeah, I know it's OpenTuner. It's crashing. I'm using OpenTuner with Mini Tuner Express, and yeah, it has some issues. Sometimes it crashes. Close the program. Well, what I will say, it's regarding since John, Golf 7 Juliet Tango mentioned about 6 meters. That's true. I think beginning of this week, last week, we got a very good opening, and I got opportunity to work one of the few European countries that I was missing on 6 meters, which was Wales, Gulf Whiskey. There were like 2 or 3 stations on 6 meters. I think the sporadic bubble was helping over Wales and over me here, so I was able to work those 2 or 3 stations from Wales. Very nice. And it's happening not every evening, but almost every day. Yeah, 6 meters getting lots of surprises. And for Matt, Mike Zero Delta Quebec Whiskey, regarding the dummy loads, Matt, yeah, you can go for it. I have a couple of them. This one is 200, I think 250, don't remember, I lost the label. And this one is 100 watts. I think they go up to 3 gigs. And the only thing you need to take care is about as soon as it arrives, you run antenna analyzer and check for the impedance because I got a problem. I don't remember if it was this big one or this small one. I don't remember. And the impedance was well different than 50 ohms. So it's a very simple task to open those things. And if you open, you're going to see a strip line. And the beryllium resistor sits on the middle because of the heat sink. And you just replace the beryllium resistor. You just get a good beryllium resistor. Those ones are 250 watts. The only thing is sometimes the holes will not coincide. So if you take the original one and put this one, the holes will not match. So you're gonna have to have some drilling work. But yeah, what really matters on those guys are the connector and the heatsink. If the resistor that comes with it is not good, you can easily get one and replace it. Yeah, it's more or less like that. All right, guys, thank you very much. Nice to see you all. Great upcoming week. All the best. And forgot to mention about my power. Yeah, you know, it's over because I don't have bias control. So sorry about that. As soon as the amplifier is warming up, it increases the bias current and the power goes up. So I have always to get it regulated. 73, John, going to you. Golf 7 Juliet Tango Tango from Papa Yankee 2 Radio November 7312.
Well, I'm not getting a picture. Right now, I'm not getting a picture now. Right, is it working or not? Yes, there we go. Right, apologies for that. Firstly, yeah, the LMB thing it's got to be something to do with the positions of the probes. I'm guessing that's all it can be really. What else have we got around here? Oh yeah, don't forget if you've got a port stand, of course, you can always use the band viewer in there, which is what Colin and I done when we were out and about at an event we went to the other week. That was pretty good. For some reason I keep using my own picture at the moment. Not quite sure why. Hopefully it's working. But anyway, I'll assume it is. Yeah, so that works really well, and that'll work with the Lime or R2 or SDR play, I think, as well. When you can get those cheap SDR plays, of course. So that's your other option. With regards to the SDR software, I think the problem is, and this is going to be controversial, I guess, we've all become FT8 operators, or not all, but yeah, FT8 is the flavour of the month, and that's just click and go, isn't it? And I think that's the same thing with regards TV. If you think back to the analog days, and we used to have all the sync detectors and God knows what else on there to try and help you. And in fact, I actually used to plumb the video into an audio analyzer and look for the syncs to pick up on the syncs before I could actually get to even see a decodable picture of things. So we used to do it. We used to have to tweak and do stuff, but we've kind of got quite, I wouldn't say lazy, but spoiled, I think is probably a better word, over the past few years. And certainly since QO-100, it's allowed all these various people doing the software to meet and collaborate online and stuff. And people like Tom and various other people from around the world that have started coming in. Some of the guys who used to navigate the Dutch guy that's done the thing for the FTI chip, etc. So all this stuff happens now because we've got QO-100. So whilst it's here, I guess we've got to make use of it and try if we can get this software stuff going. Because yeah, let's go and find someone clever enough to design a NIM and get that into production somewhere. We're really going to be quite limited, aren't we? And we unfortunately could see the hobby, well, not die, but stagnate, I guess, is if we can't keep going forward. And in fact, I know it's a silly thing to say, really, but when I think back to when I first got onto QO-100 and the quality of my pictures, I remember Everest had a particular liking for them because they were so yellow all the time. And of course, me being from London, it's not yellow, it's yellow. So there's an A at the end of it. But it was hopefully a little bit better. But yeah, you say yours, I think, I don't know if you saw mine, but mine's John's Terrible Television. So that's the nickname I always got. And it pretty much is terrible television. My things all thrown together in bits. I didn't show half of my stuff because it's literally in gash boxes. I have a thing about making things look pretty. If they look pretty, I want to keep them clean all the time. If they're just functional, then I'll use them. So, but they're often put into old boxes that I've got extra holes on there, or PCB front ends to front panels on it because the original front panels got too many holes in, etc. But there we go. One other quick thing, and then obviously the net's finished. For those, like I know Peter earlier with the blurry background and stuff. Well, I'm using the same. Obviously, I only do it because it just makes it a little bit easier on what I'm doing. But I can turn mine off. Mine is all done by NVIDIA Broadcast. So there's actually some clever little things in it. You can replace the background. You can, in fact, there's an auto frame one on here which I don't really like because it'll follow you around, but it zooms in too much on there. But there is one on here if I can find it. Where is it? Right. This is quite a funny one. Now I don't know if this is going to work very well, but I've got both my eyes open at the moment. Now, they're both open. I've got one eye closed. But the software, it makes your eyes look both open all the time. It's really quite funny. You saw it sort of flick then. It doesn't work brilliantly, but yeah, I've actually, you can see I've got both eyes closed. I'm squinting like mad, and yet it still looks as if I've got my eyes open, albeit I'm squinting. So I think that was just a bit of a joke one for when you're supposed to be working and you're not working. But anyway, so let me turn that off. Get rid of the auto frame and go back to my background blur. There we go. It just means that it's more focused on me. It can do the way I look at it, because I'm only running half FEC. The less bits it's got to play around with, the more it can concentrate on making me look half decent. So there we go. I think that's probably it. Yeah, health wise, feeling good at the moment. Finished the chemo now. Just got about 6 or 7 days worth of oral stuff to go, and that's pretty much me done. So apparently I'm all fixed. Loads of stuff missing, but I'm in remission, so we'll do all right. And I saw the consultant. What was it? Last week, I think. Was it this week? Might be this week or last week. I can't remember now. But the prognosis has gone up slightly more, from around about a 30% survival rate for 5 years up to about 40-50% now. So I might be around to see my 60th birthday, so that's going to be good. Anyway, right, there we go. With that, let's put it around to go to close up. And very good afternoon, morning, and evening to everybody. Been a very enjoyable net. Sorry, not G, is it? ZS6 YI G7 JTT in the group.
Okay, John, excellent. That's good news. Good news indeed. And yeah, I'll be closing the net. I'm expecting another radio amateur to come and visit me to get some pipes, nice fiberglass pipes. I just wanted to say on YouTube, hello to Stuart, ZR6 Whiskey Tango. Hello to Peter, Delta Kilo 3 Zulu Foxtrot. Hello to Walter, ZS6 Charlie Delta November. Hello to Xavier, Fox 4 Echo Fox Alpha. And of course our old stalwart Nigel, 2 Echo 0 Echo Hotel Hotel. But there were 50 guys viewing. They didn't all record their call signs, but yeah, 50 guys on YouTube, which isn't too bad. We've got the YouTube working nicely again. I had a bit of a problem last week, but it's definitely a fault with the unit. I got the voltage back on, everything, but not working too well. So I'm glad I got the other little unit. It's just down the road from the China shop. A couple of dollars or pounds, and away it went. I think about 15 pounds, if it was so much. And works very well, I must say. It's 4K and all. Right, with that, I shall be closing the net. We look forward to next week. Have a lovely week, guys. And as usual, it was a very interesting net. This is ZS6YI bidding everyone on frequency a very good evening. And till next time, all the best.